morning.
My name is Lestina Trainor, and I live in Reading, Connecticut. I am here again to speak for the majority of Connecticut citizens. The majority of Connecticut citizens want to ban the sale of military-style assault weapons. The majority of Connecticut citizens want to ban the sale and possession of high-capacity magazine clips that hold more than 10 rounds. Banning all guns would surely violate a citizen's constitutional rights under both federal and state law. But placing reasonable limits on specific firearms, however, does not. Regardless of how passionate our opponents may appear, they are not the majority. The majority of citizens were not in this room today. They were at work or at school or at home with young children. They weren't given the day off or bussed in by their employers. And they aren't people who are singularly focused on guns. May I remind all of you sitting on the panel, we live in a democracy and the majority rules. Most Connecticut citizens, like Governor Malloy and like Senator Blumenthal and like Senator Murphy and like Congressman Himes and countless other elected officials, law enforcement, and first responders in our state, most of us see no valid justification for civilians to possess military-style assault weapons and high-capacity clips. For soldiers in the arena of war, yes, these are clearly the weapons of choice. For law enforcement, yes, law enforcement, like the military, is charged with protecting our citizens. But for regular old civilians like me, there's no valid justification. But there are plenty of invalid justifications. Please do not consider these invalid arguments when you craft Connecticut gun legislation. For example, I need military-style assault weapons to defend my family. No, there are plenty of other firearms more than adequate to defend a family. Banning high-capacity magazine clips is dumb. I can reload my weapon in 2 seconds flat. Well, luckily, some of our mass shooters haven't been so skilled. And while attempting to reload, clips have been dropped, shooters have been tackled, and children in Sandy Hook, thank God, have escaped slaughter. Banning military-style assault weapons is just the start. The real plan is to take all of our guns, just like Hitler did. Wow. Okay. So if you truly view our government as tyrannical and scheming against all gun owners, then please, I beg you, help fix it. Run for office. Vote these tyrants out. That's how civilians do combat in a democracy. Not by arming themselves with military assault weapons for just in case they need to use them against the United States government. Banning assault weapons with cosmetic military features is dumb because weapons with the same firepower will still be available. Well, guess what? A pistol grip is not cosmetic. It's a deliberate upgrade that makes guns easier to grab, easier to hold, and easier to discharge. Like all military features, a pistol grip makes an assault weapon that much more efficient for killing people. That's why the military features are scientifically developed, to make soldiers more efficient, to kill more people. Banning military-style assault weapons will infringe upon the rights and punish law-abiding citizens. Well, the Newtown shooter was a law-abiding citizen until he wasn't. All shooters at some point are law-abiding citizens until they aren't. This is not about punishing anyone. This is about ensuring that civilians going about their normal daily routines are not subject to military-style assault. Remember Newtown. What happened there, a mass shooting, unfortunately, is a growing trend in our country, a new grim reality like lockdown drills in our schools. Can we please make it more difficult, not easier, for the next shooter to take multiple lives? Any gun legislation passed in Connecticut must include a ban on military-style assault weapons and a ban on the sale and possession of high-capacity magazine clips over 10 rounds. Connecticut lawmakers, please act now. You have studied, contemplated, discussed, listened to all concerned for long enough. No legislation passed at this time could possibly be deemed hasty. Newtown is waiting. Connecticut citizens and the whole country were all waiting. Listen to the majority of Connecticut citizens. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Trainor. I have a question I want to start off with. Is it your understanding from your testimony you got this idea that you believe that the weapons that the military carries, the American military and other militaries around the world, are the same as the weapons we're talking about today?
No, that's not my understanding. My understanding is that certain of these sporting rifles, or what have been called assault weapons in all of the news lately, they contain certain features that are military features. And I've been shown by my chief of police in Reading, Connecticut, Chief Fuchs, brought his weapon and showed us exactly what the features are that are military style and how they make those weapons more efficient. So I understand that in Connecticut, you're allowed to have 2 of these features on your assault weapon, and those make the gun more efficient for killing more people. And I don't think that those should be in the hands of regular civilians.
But do you know the difference between the military-style weapons and the AR-15? Could you tell us what they are?
Well, I think that there's a pistol grip, and then there's some sort of other military-style features that they have.
Well, that's not the main difference. The main difference is that the military has a select switch on it, which they can fire with fully automatic. The AR-15.
Right.
And that's a huge difference.
It's actually not that huge of a difference.
Oh.
Have you
I've been in the military, Trainer. It is a huge difference. There's no military in the world, even in the third world country, that has AR-15 semi-automatics.
I'm glad everyone thinks this is a laughing matter.
I'm not laughing at you. I'm just trying to make a point that there is a huge difference.
Okay, but have you ever seen people playing even a video game where you have to pull your finger? People today pull their finger just as fast, if practically, as an automatic weapon. It doesn't matter what the military feature is. The fact that there are military features added to these civilian weapons makes them more dangerous. And it's inappropriate.
Well, I don't want to debate you, but you are.
Okay, I have a question. I have a question for the panel, though. I'm just curious. How many people on this panel are members of the NRA? Okay, and some people have left. Okay, just curious.
Are you a member of the NRA?
No, I'm absolutely not. Thank you.
Just an educated guess on my part.
Thank you.
Any questions for Ms. Trainor? Yeah, Representative.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for your testimony. A turkey rifle that Mossberg gun in my town, North Haven, makes has a pistol grip. Do you think that's a dangerous weapon?
I think a pistol grip makes a gun easier and more efficient to kill more people.
It's not made for that. The pistol grip's for stability, for safety more than anything else. If you're in balance, it's much more dangerous when you shoot. So that's one of the reasons you have the pistol grip. And I understand where you're coming from, and every death is one death too many. But do you know how many people are killed every year by hammers?
I do not know.
600 Americans a year. 1,800 Americans are killed every year by kitchen knives. And like I said, every death is one too many. 300 by long guns or rifles. And again, they're all one too many. But we have to be careful when we look at these things. I know we're all looking at this very carefully, but you're making statements that really aren't true. Those characteristics, they might be characteristic, but it doesn't mean they do the same thing. If you have the pistol grip, it's not going to shoot any different if you don't have the pistol grip. It doesn't do anything different.
It makes it easier for you to shoot.
Yes, but it's for stability and safety.
Right, so that you can shoot more stably and kill more people.
No, those guys, do you really believe that's
true? I really believe that.
Pistols are worse. How about a pistol in cities?
Now, believe me, don't get me started on that. I'm talking about any legislation that Connecticut passes needs to include a ban on military-style assault weapons and high-capacity magazine clips over 10 rounds and possession.
I think if everybody believed that and it would really solve something, maybe we would think that way. But I wish it would solve things. That would never solve the problem. It's societal. It's not. It's societal.
Well,
it's unfortunately, it's mental health issues. It's people that do commit crimes that aren't put in jail. It's people that sell guns or buy guns illegally. I didn't want to bring this up, but I'll bring it up. Prohibition in the 1920s to the early 30s. Ban consumption of alcohol. We're going to drive this country up. No more alcohol, no more crime, no more violence. It was probably the worst thing we ever did in our country. It caused more crime, more violence and power in the wrong people's hands. Politicians got involved. It's probably arguably the worst thing that we ever did in our country as far as trying to stop something, but made it worse. And so Franklin Roosevelt, and then we had the Congress pass it. I forget what the amendment was. It might be the 32nd or 33rd. I don't remember the amendments. But you could buy and consume alcohol again. We have to be careful how far we go. I do understand where you're coming from, but it's got to be more realistic.
Thank you.
Cities and other things. I'm sorry, but
no, that's okay. Thank you.
And I thank you for coming, and I thank you for waiting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Don't go yet. We got a question down here for you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Hi, thank you for coming. And I know being in a room of opposition is hard, so I appreciate your comments. I have a question, and it's purely because I'm curious.
Okay.
Where did the number 10 come from?
From California.
So, okay, but does that mean it's a law there, or somebody
They created a law there, and yeah, you can say it was an arbitrary number. But if you ask parents of the Newtown victims, or if you ask the parents of people who survived because somebody needed to change their clip, I think that they would not feel that that's an arbitrary number. They would, or the 9-year-old girl who was shot on the 13th bullet.
I was curious because I've actually heard there was a proposal for one bullet, and there's 13 is a kind of common number. So I was just actually curious.
Okay.
So thank you. And just a comment. I hope that you carry your passion into mental health and video games and things, because I do believe that is a big issue. And I know this is not the panel for mental health, but I would encourage
That's
you.
why I'm not talking about mental health. I mean, mental health is a part of the issue, but the bigger part is too many guns.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Representative Rivera. We got one more.
I'm not going to question whether you're right or wrong. I'm not going to question whether you're right or wrong, but I have to say this about it. I have to give you a lot of credit for sitting up there and standing up for what you think is right. None of us might agree with you, and we all might agree with you, but I have to give you a lot of credit for sitting there, especially in a group of, like we've heard today, 99% of the people that testified are against any gun law. So I got to say thank you for coming because of the courage you have.
Thank you.
We have one more question for you.
Oh, boy. Okay.
Representative Bakayaki.
Thank you. And I also want to thank you for staying here all day to testify. But I do have a question. I struggle to know what the majority of people want in my district or in the state of Connecticut. And I always ask myself, should I go by the number of emails? Should I go by how many people testify at a public hearing? And several times you emphatically stated what the majority wants is stricter gun control. How do you determine what the majority
I look
wants?
at the polls, the Quinnipiac poll. I look at newspaper articles. I talk to people. Did you see a dozen? But obviously, you didn't see a dozen buses. At 10 o'clock this morning, when I arrived, there were a dozen or more buses. Colt employees were bussed in, given the morning off, to come here to make a big scene. So no, you don't listen to the loudest squeaky wheels. You listen to, you talk to your constituents and talk to them personally. Not everybody can take a full day and sit here all day. But, they don't get...
But you're primarily basing it on the polls and people that you have talked with.
The polls, people I've talked with, the fact that I saw Vice President Biden in Danbury the other day, our 2 state senators, law enforcement, the state police, all these people are for common sense gun regulation.
Okay. And I want to comment that I know people did laugh, and I can assure you that after 14 hours, people are forgetting some of the procedural
They were laughing
process.
this morning, too. I was here for 17 hours.
But I just want to say it's not a laughing matter to any of us.
Okay.
And whether, you are a member of the NRA or not, what happens every day with gun violence on the streets and what happened in Sandy Hook, affects us all the same. It's a tragedy. It's devastating.
Absolutely. But you know what? You don't need to be an expert on gun models to use your common sense and open your eyes and open your ears and think about, if you were explaining this to a group of 5-year-olds, what's dangerous and what's not. This is not complicated stuff. People are pretending that they think that this is about banning all their rights to have guns. And this is not about banning all your rights. Nobody wants to come confiscate your guns. This is not what this is about. This is about just saying that there should be a limit on certain particular types of guns. Why are there no more machine guns? They're too dangerous.
Okay.
Why are you not supposed to saw off your shotgun? It's too dangerous. Why? Okay, so this is another situation where many of us feel, and I believe, that it is the majority of Connecticut citizens feel that it is too dangerous to have those types of weapons.
And I respect your opinion and your right to have that opinion. My final comment is, you were talking about how it's way past time, or certainly time, for this legislature to do something. I've been here 11 years, and I just want to give you an example. For 5 years, I have been working very hard to try to pass a bill that would make it a crime for an adult who witnesses a violent crime against a child. If they didn't report it, then it would be some sort of misdemeanor. So if you were to witness a child being very severely assaulted or raped and you didn't report it, that there would be some penalty for that. I believe very strongly in that, like the way you believe that we should be on weapons. I've been trying to get that to the floor for a vote for 5 years.
I'd love to help you with that.
So I just want to point out
I would love to help with that.
2 months into a session is really a very, very short amount of time for legislative deliberations compared to other issues that also deal with the life and death of children.
I understand.
So I'm just pointing out to you.
But also this issue hasn't even ever been discussed. It's the taboo topic until Sandy Hook, and now everybody's talking about it. So this is sort of a certain
That's not true either. I've been on this committee for many years, and we do
to this extent.
But
with special hearings and public hearings and
I do thank you for coming and for staying here all day and for sharing your point of view.
Representative Hampton?
I just want to make a general statement. I think it's really upsetting when all evening we've been not interrupting other speakers, but people who've already spoken feel the need to laugh or heckle or shout out. I just think it doesn't add anything to the civility of the dialogue, and I think it's unfair to this person to laugh and to disparage her. This room is a free-range topic of conversation, and I don't think we should. I think we should give everybody a level of respect and hopefully respect everyone's. There are those who came before who we did not interrupt their testimony, who are now in the audience yelling out and guffawing and laughing, and I don't think that's fair to anybody. So, thank you.
Thank you, and I want to thank you for your passion and your courage and for your tenacity. Okay.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Paul Veldek from